Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Now, Bugling Bob is well known for his calling. Put on classes. You've got classes you've got coming up in just a week or so.
Yeah, next Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Here you go. Perfect.
Yeah, so Archers Field, you know, I work at Archers Field. I've been teaching classes there for, you know, close to 10 years now. I do 2 classes coming up Friday night, the 11th, and Friday the 25th. The first one, everybody brings their calls. We make a lot of sounds. I want to hear what you sound like. Maybe I can help you sound a little better. I'd be like, hey, Owen, bugle, and then you bugle, and I tell you, oh, maybe too many notes, or more voice, taper it off this way, that way, whatever. However I can help you sound a little better. And then the second class is for tactics. That's like, what do you do now?
Right.
You know, you get a bull to bugle. What do you do now? You know, we're trying to create encounters with elk. And I feel like I have a good ability to create the encounter. Most of my shots, my hunters, guiding in Montana, all the shots that we take are top pin. We've always talked about that. It's close. You know, you're creating these encounters, so calling is crucial for that. That's the only way I really hunt elk. So yeah, the classes help. Everybody brings their calls. The first one, the second one, we just talk about tactics and stuff, and that's going to be at Archers Field this Friday, the 11th, and then 2 weeks later on the 25th. I believe.
No place else can you go and have a class like that.
Yeah, it's great.
And then go shoot your bow or buy a bow or get your bow tuned up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guarantee you've seen this. You've had folks come in, they're participating in your class, and like, hey, I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. Well, then what the hell are you here for? You know, everybody can learn something. It doesn't matter what it is. You can always take something away.
Yeah.
But in the last handful of years, at least where I spend my time, we've noticed that if you get a little loud or a little aggressive, even if they're hot, you can really cause problems, if not just blow them out of the area.
Yeah, you can.
Because there's a lot of other things going on, right? You got wolves, you got, I don't want to get sidetracked, but have you noticed anything like that? Do you change how you go after these bulls? I mean, what do you like to do? If you went into the woods today, what would be your mindset?
Okay, so first thing is listen to your ears. Listen to what your ears are telling you. If I'm not hearing a bunch of bulls bugle, I don't want to go out there and be unnatural and start screaming on my bugle and screaming on my bugle. If that's not what they're doing, that's not what I'm doing.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good way to locate an elk is to bugle off a ridgetop into a canyon. If you don't get a response, it's not always the best idea to walk away and go somewhere else. Just because they didn't bugle right this second does not mean they're not there, and it doesn't mean in 2 hours they're not going to be on their feet and screaming.
Sure.
So one thing I've done I hunt the coast a lot, right? And this is the same in Montana too, where I guide, is I've been a lot more subtle in the last couple of years. Trying to get a little closer. I stay in elky areas. I don't spend my time traveling here, traveling there, traveling here. I know where they should be and where they are, where they live. So I try to be a lot more subtle, okay? I go in there, I cow call very softly to try, you know, in case anything's really close. If I'm gonna bugle, it's a really soft squeal, no big chuckles, nothing like that. And these bulls that I've been getting in on the coast have been responding at a really close distance, and those are the ones that are coming in, and they're coming in quick. And so once I get within 100 yards, let's say 75 yards of an elk, and I might not even know they're there, but I hit that call, and all of a sudden the woods explode, and here he comes. That's not happening by screaming on my bugle. You're blowing things out sometimes. We all want that classic screaming match. That's the funnest way to call in a bull, right? There's so many different ways to call in bulls, and that's the funnest. Everybody wants that classic screaming match, but a lot of times it's way more subtle. It's breaking a branch here, snapping a twig, rolling a rock, soft mew. You know, instead of that big challenge, rake a tree, roll rocks, you know. That's the funnest. You might only get a few of those a year, but you're gonna get a lot more bulls in if you slow down. That's one thing I try to teach people. Slow down. Don't be in such a hurry. Stay on signs, stay on elk trails, stay in elky country. And that's where you should spend your time, from what I've seen. And so by doing that, I'm getting in bulls where I could hear a guy bugling way over there, just screaming on his bugle, and I'm kind of deep in the canyon. These bulls aren't answering, but when I'm deep in that canyon and I hit real soft, all of a sudden they're sneaking in, they're coming in, and that guy has no idea I'm even in there because he can't hear me. I can hear him. So they can hear you. Just try not to be too aggressive is what I'm getting at. There's a time and place for it, and we talk about all, you know, it's elk psychology, knowing what kind of elk you're talking to if you do get a response. That's some of the stuff I talk about in my classes. I think that's helped me a lot. Like, if you can figure out what kind of bull you're talking to, that's how you decide how you want to call to him. You know, you don't want to intimidate a small bull. You don't want to be too passive on a herd bull. And this is stuff we talk about in those classes. But yeah, my main point here, I know I'm rambling a little bit.
No,
but
you're fine.
That's
why you're here.
All right. Well, I'm just saying, I've slowed down, try more subtle, stay in elk country, and you'll be surprised what happens. So you're out in the woods, you hunt on in an area. You say more than I would ever say, but he hunts in a zone, an area where there can be a lot of people. And people will let themselves be known pretty quickly by just bugling, jumping back. Well, I guess where you are, they're not jumping in rigs, but then they move super fast. You mentioned that. If you don't hear anything, just keep moving, just keep moving. Right.
I think that we've all probably seen, you know, maybe you don't get to see it because you do leave too early, but we've all passed by bulls, herds of animals that just didn't respond. How do we not just keep going? I mean, you say, well, slow down. It's not that easy. I mean, you get guys and gals that are out there that are, you know, super motivated. And that's good too. I mean, there's more than one way to call in a bull. And if you want to cover 60 miles, go ahead. I feel like you're going by a lot of animals. I've learned from experience, having spent so many nights in the mountains, you know, with my brothers and you know, in camp guiding and stuff. It's like I've heard bulls at from 2 to 4 in the morning, the peak of the rut. I mean, it sounds like a freaking zoo in there, right? And you go in there at first light, it is dead. They're tired. They're done. They're bedded down. But after they rest for 4 or 5 hours and they get up around 11 o'clock, it sounds like that again. But if you rolled in there and bugled at first light, didn't get a response, and left, you might have just rode away from 10 bulls. Gotcha.
And peak rut activity.
Sure, because you kind of hit the nail on the head there. If they are rutting, like you said, they're up all night, especially if that moon is getting close to being full. I mean, everybody wants to talk about full moon and, okay, now we're in the rut kind of thing, which is true and not true in some circumstances, but they're not going to be doing a lot that first light in the morning. No, they're done. They're tired. They want to just relax. Maybe I wouldn't say that you would want to be out there later in the morning. Still get out there at first light. Yeah, of course. You can force encounters that way. But maybe thinking about that latter part of the morning being more productive than that first light time. Yeah, some of my best hunts in my life consistently have been between like 10 and 2. Okay. You know, mid-morning after they've rested, they get back up, they're feeling ruddy again. So yeah, I like that window. You don't know when it's going to be. You know, so again, it's good to cover ground if that's what you want to do until you locate a bull. That's one of the things I teach. But I teach people how to cover ground in the right way, okay? You know, you find that long ridge where you can call off both sides and go out a finger and call off both sides. That's one way to do it, but a ton of times I've gone out those ridges, not had a peep, and then on the way back out did the same thing, and they were there the whole time. Right. So, you know, it's hard to be patient. You know, like I said, we all want that screaming match and that classic encounter. Just tune into the woods, be a little more slippery, use your ears. Where I hunt, you can't glass. I'm glassing with my ears. You know, it's all sounds. I'm going for sounds. You can't see anything. Yeah, so can't see. I'm hunting with my ears. And I just, you know, I will keep going. But if you don't get any response, what do? You got to drop in somewhere. You may as well stay on elk trails and travel how elk travel, and your odds go way up of bumping into something. So let's say, and I fall into this category, I kind of put some of this on calling turkeys or being a duck caller. Yeah. It's all about the situation, and every duck sounds different. Each turkey even sounds different. Every elk sounds different. 100%. So you could have one person that might not sound so great to a human's ear, but to an elk might sound, hey, that's Bob. You know, I mean, so when they're in your class, you're going to get a lot of different versions of what a bugle is going to sound like. Sure, sure. Is there ever such a thing that, oh, that's the perfect elk sound, that's what we're all striving for, or is everybody different? Yeah, everybody's different, and that's fine. You don't have to be a world champion elk caller to call in bulls consistently. You have to be able to make a few basic sounds, the squeals. You know, if you can chuckle, great. You need to make some cow sounds, you know, soft and loud. That's another thing to mention is the calling soft. You know, you got to be able to go soft, soft, and subtle if you're in close. But no, everybody sounds a little different, and that's fine. Elk sound different. I've had spikes sound like the biggest bull in the woods before. And vice versa. Yeah, and I mean, think about Mike Tyson. He's a big man with a little tiny voice, right? That can happen in the elk world.
So, anyways, you know, so yeah, everybody, you know, being a good caller just comes down to having confidence. But I will say this: it really helps if you can imitate them. Like I'm a musician, so I hear notes and tones. Some bowls start with a low note and they slide up to a high note. Some bowls start with that high note and it slides down to a low note. And I like to imitate them. I feel like that helps create that encounter.
Oh, yeah.
So
kind of upset them a little.
Really listen to what you're hearing when they do bugle. And they all do sound different. Is he going low to high or is he going high to low? And, you know, when I imitate them, that seems to really get under their goat, you know, and gets them going. So really listen to what you're hearing and have confidence in your calls, too. Don't be timid. Okay,
so I'm down. We got 1 minute left here. Cow call.
Oh, yeah.
So if, say, someone gets into a situation, this is from my own memory, you get in there, you make a bugle, nothing happens, small cow call, and now all of a sudden stuff starts happening.
Yeah.
Is there ever a time that we should focus on just utilizing that cow call, put the bugle away, and just stick with the cow call and see what happens at that point?
100%. I mean, go with what they're responding to. You know, if you cow call and he bugles, stick with the cow call. Why bugle at him?
Right.
He's interested, you know. He's either going to come or he's saying, hey, come over here. And you can slide a little closer, cow call, keep him talking like that. So the cow call is really all a guy needs. I mean, every bull in September wants to be around cows. I don't care if he's young bull, old bull, whatever. They want cows. So you can't really be too intimidating with the cow call. It's really all a guy needs. But for the classic screaming match, obviously you need to bugle. But yeah, a cow call, if a guy had a hoochie mama and walked around in September and squeezed his hoochie mama every few hundred yards, at some point in the season, a bull elk is going to run right up to you.
Go see his class, go to his class, learn a little bit, get yourself more proficient, and learn about when and when you should not call when you go see Bob. Man, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
You bet.
Stick with me, though. We're going to be back in just a minute to wrap things up and give you an idea what we got going on for tomorrow. We'll be right back.